almost like on the last two methods which we have to cover, but let me first also cover these are important methods actually, right? So let's start with them, right? So again, to understand map and filter, let's first understand again for each. So there's a method called for each, and if you have an array like this, right? 1, 2, 3, like these are different values, these are different items of the array. These are the values, right? And these are the index positions 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And this is the entire array, right? So what does this for each method does is, if you want, what is the purpose of for each, right? The purpose is that you want to iterate through all the items one by one, right? And maybe do some processing on those values, right, which you're receiving. Okay, let's in our case, right, we had minus and plus, right, and we were checking whether it's a credit or debit, right? Let's say, right? So we can do is, in each iteration, right, it will have 5 iterations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the first iteration it will receive this index position as 0, value as 1, and the complete array, right, whatever the array is. So we are checking, we are receiving -1 here, right? And we will provide the logic of the function, right? It's a callback function. So we receive what? We receive something like this: A, B, C. The first variable is always the value, right? So this is this part, right? B is the index and C is the array, right? So these are the parameters of the function, and then you will define here the body of the callback function, whatever you are trying to do. So let's say I'm just checking if A, right? If A is greater than 0, I am printing console.log credit, right? Else debit, right? So I mean, just an operation, right? The intention over here is that this particular piece of code, right, which I'm writing here, right, should get executed for every item one by one, right? And we should see the output accordingly. Now we have to also understand it. This is the input, right? What is the output of for each? It does not return anything. Okay, it does not return anything. So you will not. So what is the end result of for each? Nothing. You will not get something which you can save somewhere. Okay, it will get processed and that's it. But let's say you have a need. So now we're coming to map, right? Map does what? Map is equally same as for each, right? There is no difference. Even the callback function, the structure of it is same, right? And this will behaves the similar way as for each. The only thing it does extra is using the map, right? What you can do is you can return the values after every iteration, right? So let's say the first iteration is running, second iteration is running, third iteration is running, right? What you want to do is, after processing these values, let's say there is an output which you wanted to store somewhere, right? For every iteration, right? Let's say the output in this case is, this is, let's say, credit, this is debit, this is credit, this is debit, right? And let's say something, right? And you want to store these values once the map operation completes. The same structure, right? You will write all the same thing. What will happen here is, in the end of the map, right, what will you receive as the output of this? Like this, right? You will receive an array, right, which will hold the values returned by every iteration. So the first iteration returned you credit, so you will have credit here, right? Then you can have debit, then you can have credit, right? Whatever you are returning, right, it's up to you. So the what is the difference between for each and map? If the intention is that after evaluating the stuff, you want to also return something, right, per iteration, and in the end form an array of those return values, then you should use map, right? And if that is not the case, you don't care about returning a value from your processing, then you should think of using for each. This is the basic difference between the two. Otherwise, everything is same. And the example which I was giving yesterday was, let's say you have array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And let's say I'm saying I have the logic that I will multiply every number by 5, right? If you, right, and let's say I have also have the intention, after multiplying I want to return the multiples, right? So let's say what will do is, map function, right, will work on the first value, which is 1. It will multiply with 5 and give the output as 5, right? Then it will do for this, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 you will get, right? So if you would have used map, right, you could get these items as a output of your functionality, right? And you can consume them. But in case of for each, you will not have an option to return them. So It can do whatever, like similar thing, but you will not be able to return it. Let me just show the example, just this example only. Let me come back. Let me first create the branch for today. Uh, check out minus b day 13, right? This is the file const numbers 1 2 3 4 5. Okay. In let's do it for each first, right? So I will say what nums dot for each, right? Again, this is the callback function, right? See, right? This is the callback function. Just to make things clear, I hope this makes sense, right? Here the parameters will come. This is the arrow function, and then the body will come inside this, right? So what all parameters you can accept? You can accept all three, or two, or just one, right? So I am accepting, let's say any, and you can give any name, A, B, C, Akhil, anything, right? You can give any name, but just to make sure that you understand what you're doing, so let's give some meaningful name, right? So I can say well also, right? So well means the value, exact value which I'm dealing with. So what I'm, so in my case, I do not have the need of index and array, so I'm not writing them here. So what I will do is, what is my intention? I wanted to uh, calculate the value, right? So let's say I'm calculating the value. 12 into 5. Let me collect it into a variable. Let multiple equals to this. And let's say I'm printing this, right? I'm printing this value. Console.log multiple. Okay, right? So let me first run it. Let's see what is the output here. You can see the output, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, right? This is the output of this processing, right? Let's say I want to collect the output somewhere. Const multiples, like this, right? I told you for each will not return anything, right? You can see even I am not saying return his statement here, right? And I'm trying, but I'm trying to collect something out of it, but it is not returning. So what will I receive here? Anyone?
Nothing.
If I have to, nothing means what it, there's a word, right? In JavaScript, if there is
The
nothing, it is called as
undefined.
undefined, right? So you will receive undefined
Undefined.
here. Console.log multiples. You can see, right? Undefined. So you did not receive anything, right? Let me also specifically say return also, right? You can say, now what is happening? For every iteration, right? It will run, it will take the value, right? And I'm saying return. Let me not return this. Let me just say return multiple. Multiple, right? The value I'm calculating, which is 5, 10, 15, right? And I am thinking that I will receive a value from this, right? Let's say by writing return, I am thinking that it will return something. But let's see this. Am I really getting something from here? And I told you for each will not give any output. Let's try. You see, you still got undefined. You are saying return here, right? But still you're getting undefined because for each will not return anything. Even if you say it, it will just ignore that part. Getting the point? I hope it is making sense, right? You have to remember some rules, right? Let me do it now with the maps. So let me comment this out. I'm writing the same logic. Nothing changed, right? I'll just change one thing. I'll just say map here. You can see everything is same, right? Let me run it. Let's run it. You can see, right? This time you got this out. Why? What is happening is this map function worked on this item first. It calculated the value. It got 5, right? And it returned the value. So it's like it had, when maps work, right? It creates a blank array, okay? And then whatever you keep returning from that uh, iteration, right? It keeps collecting in that array, right? And the array keeps getting those values, and the array, the complete array gets formed, right? So this is what you're getting here, and ultimately everything gets stored in this. So multiples is pointing to this array. Getting the point? Is the difference between for each and this map is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Akhil.
Let's talk about filter, right? Now, as the name says, filter, right? The filter means that you have a lot of values in the arrays, and let's say you do not need all the values. Let's say you want to filter out some of the values, right? Let's say you have negative and positive values, and you intend to create have you intend to create an array which should have you intend to filter out the positive values, right, from that complete array, right? Okay. So if that is the case, right, this is filtering out. Let's say you have 10 items, and in the end, let's say based on the calculation, you need only five of them, which meets those criteria. Okay, so you should use filter. Let me comment this out. So what we'll do is let me create const. Okay, let me do one thing. Let us try to see this. Okay, let me not do any complex tasks. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time. Transactions. Let's keep this simple, right? I will just say -10, 90, 89, 67, -100, right? So I have all these values here. Now what I want is, so minus means debits, and the positive value means credits, right? So let's say I want to have an array of only the credits amount, right? So all the transactions which I have done through my bank, which are related to the credit, right? Like the inflow to my account. Okay. So I am interested into seeing only this. So what I should do is I can make use of filter method here. So I will say transaction dot filter, right? And here, if you would see, what does it accept? It accepts a callback function again, right? Where the first would be value, second would be index, and third would be the array, right? Which is similar to the above case, right? All the other things. So it's a callback function only. So let me create a callback function. Okay. So let's put the first would be value, right? So I'm getting the value. If I'm interested, I can get the index like this, and I can get the array like this, right? So the filter method will make sure that when it is working, right, it is providing the value of it, the index of it, and the complete array, right? That is not your responsibility. That's the responsibility of these methods. Okay, to work to functionally work correctly, right? Okay, so again, ignore it. I don't need them, so I'm not putting them value. So I want to have the logic. Now you need to set a criteria, right? You need to set the criteria, and you need to what you need to do is you need to return a, okay, let's just say, if I will check, right, if well is greater than 0, right, and then I will say, let's say, return true. Okay, return true, else return false. Am I writing it correct? Yes, this is correct. Else returns false, right? Now let me show you the again the signature. So this is your logic, right, to evaluate whether this, I mean, this is your criteria, right? You're saying, so what is happening here is you need to provide a logic which will return you a boolean value, right, in the end, after the evaluation. If the value is returned as a true, right, then it means that that you need to keep it. But if something returns you a false, right, it will ignore that value, right? It will not keep them in the array now. Okay. So what I want to intend, my intention is to keep these three as a separate thing, right? So this is filter, and if you see this here, right, you can see this is a predicate. Whenever you see a predicate, right, as a thing mentioned here, think of it like you need to return something like a boolean value, right, from your execution, right? Let's see. If I run it now, what will we get? Let me get a variable. Let's say credits. Okay, and let's say console.log credits. You see, you got 90, 89, and 67. Okay, also understand this, right? We are not making the change in the original array. The original array is still this only, right? It is filter creates a new array, and it starts with an empty array, and it sees what all input, right, are meeting the criteria. this criteria, right? If they meet the criteria, it will put it into the new array. Otherwise, it will not put that into that array, right? So the output of the filter is an array again, right? A new array. So if I print console.log transactions, let's run it again. You will see the transactions would still be pointing to this only. So it does not mutate the original array. It forms a new array. Okay. We're good on this also. No answer.
Yes, sir. Good.
We're good, right? Okay. Hasan, this is clear, right? You asked this.
Yes, clear.
Okay. Now the pending part, right? Reduce. Okay. There was one mistake which I was doing yesterday, and I was, because of all the work, right? There's a silly mistake always. I was thinking it would be a silly mistake, yes, and it found to be silly mistake. Uh, I was not putting the parameter in the right place. That was the silly mistake. But let me show you what I mean. Let's talk about reduce. Okay. First of all, reduce method, right? As the name says, reduce, right? You are getting a stream of array, right? All the input from the array. Let's say this array, right? This one. Yes. So these are the transactions amount, right, which has happened in my account. So someone, I spent 10 rupees, I earned 90 rupees, I earned 89, I earned 67, and I also spent 100 rupees, right? Now in the end of the okay, now in the end of the month, right, I want to evaluate what is the balance in the account. Okay, I want to evaluate the balance. So what I need is, I have these inputs with me, right, and I want to calculate, right, what is my balance, right, after the account. So what I need to do is, so it is like this. Think of this in this way. Okay, running board. So it is like this, right? You have to understand what does reduce does is, it takes input as an array, right? An array, whatever that array is, right? It could be a num array, string array, whatever that array is, right? You will provide this as an input, but reduce will return you a single value, a single value. It's up to you what logic you specify. So let's say if it is a number in my case, right, minus 10, 90, 89, 69, right, whatever that value is, minus 100. So in the end, I want to do something with all the values, right? And in the end, I don't want to return a array. I want to return a single value, right? A single value. Okay. So if that is the intention, right, then you can think of using reduce, right? But the point here to be noted is, like, you might be expecting to work on all the items, right, of the array, and then you are thinking that you have a logic that in the end, once you work on all the items, you want to return something as a single value, right? Like in this case. So in my case, right, these are all the transactions which I have. I will provide these transactions to reduce, and I will write a logic here, right, which will sum up all the numbers and then return me the output of it. So I will get my balance, which is a single value, right? Do we understand this? So reduce does return you output, but it's a single value, right? It's not an array. In case of map, the output is an array. In case of filter, the output is an array. But in case of reduce, it's not an array, it's a single value. Till this point, are we clear? Anand, you had this query, right?
Yes.
I'm still little not able to.
You understood map and filter, right?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, so reduce, just as of now, just understand reduce will take input of an array and will not return you an array, right? It will return you a single value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now how, and again, you have to give the logic, right, by which it will calculate things, right? That is up to the body of the function, right, which you will provide. Okay, what input does reduce works on, right? Let's understand. So the key takeaway is, you get one single value, not the array as of now. Just understand this part. Now let's look at the function, like how do you how does the body of the function, or what is the, I mean, the signature, right, of the reduce method is. So if you look at reduce, right, the signature is this. So first of all, right, it will accept a callback function. Okay, a callback function. How do you write a callback function? In the callback function, here, right, you can have 4 values, not 3. Till now, we were having 3 values, right? Value, index, and the array, right? But in the case of reduce, you have 4 values. One is called as an, it is called like a previous value, right? PV. There is a second thing called CV, like a current value, right? You can call it like a value, like we were doing right here in case of for each and map. What we were writing in map, we were saying it will be value, index, and the array, right? Right. Let me write this way only: value, index, and array. So what is the extra thing? This PV part. Are we clear with this? And how we create a arrow function? We
Clear.
create it like this,
Yes, sir.
and I will write the body of the function here, right? Okay. I will write whatever I want to calculate, right? I will write here. Okay. Now this is one way of writing, right? And you can close the brackets, and this is one way which you can use the reduce, right? But there is an alternative. There is one more way, right? Which accepts one more input. So this is one way of calling the reduce. There is one more way where you can use, where you will use all the same thing: PV, value, index, array. You will define the body of it, right? But this time, so this is what? This is single parameter, right? This is one single parameter, right? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
This is one single
Yes.
parameter, right? So in the earlier version, you were passing only one single parameter. But in the second version of reduce, right, you can pass one more value, which is the initial value. And this makes a lot of difference, how reduce works. Okay. Okay. Now let's see what is the difference here. Yesterday, we were talking about this version, right? This part. Again, you remember, right, everyone? We were talking about this version, right, yesterday? PV,
Yes.
val, index, array. I was trying to use initial value, but I was failing, right? And I was not able to fully show you. I will also tell you where I was making a mistake, but as of now, just see this, right? We were talking about this. And what did we learn? Let's say we have this array, right? We have the arrays of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the length of the array?
5.
5 is the length, right?
Right.
What is the index position of this? Let's write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the values are what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We also saw that if you run this version, right, this particular version, what was happening was, how many times it was running? 5 times or 4 times?
4 times.
5 times.
Okay.
4 times. Okay, 4 times. It was running 4 times. Okay, if you run this version, right? Think about it now. Okay, let me write here. So let's start, right? So second, let me write the actual way, right? How we think it should run, but how it really runs. Second iteration, third iteration, fourth iteration, fifth iteration. Okay, these are the number of iteration what we think it should run with, right? Now let's write the values. What is the present value for this iteration? Sorry, previous value, right? It's not present value, it's a previous value. What is the current value? What is the index position? And what is the array for it? Logic, so you can write, right? Logic, so we will write, which is, let's ignore it, that part, right? Or no, let me write here, right? Let me write the return statement, right? You have to return something from it, right? If you don't return anything, it will return an undefined value. Another rule to remember. Okay. We will remember this rule, right? If you will not write return right here, and you will, right, if you don't provide a relevant value, right, for the return, what this function will do is it will keep on providing return as undefined value, right? Let's think about it. So in this first iteration, right? Okay, what was our intention yesterday? We wanted to sum up all the numbers, right? Correct?
Yes.
That was the intention. So what we were saying, we were looking at this thing, right? We were saying, let's say, we were finding sum. And let's say we were saying PV, previous value, and the current value. Okay. Okay. And I will say sum here, right? Return sum. Let's say I'm writing this logic. Okay. I'm writing this logic. So let's start looking at this part, right? Okay. So in the first iteration, right? In the first iteration, if I talk about the first iteration, right? What is the current value?
2.
Okay. When you say 2, right? You're assuming that we will start from second iteration, right? But I am saying assume that we are starting with the first iteration only. So it will start with the 1 only, right? Let's say. Although I'm saying wrong, but let's say that it starts with 1, right? So what will be the current value? 1.
1.
What will be the next position?
0.
0. And the entire array, whatever it is, right? Now tell me what is the previous value in this case?
Undefined.
Okay, let's say undefined. Undefined, right? And what are you typing here? Sum equals to PV plus CV.
Mhm.
So what will it be? Undefined plus anything will become undefined only.
Okay.
Okay. So, right, what reduce says, right? What this method says, it says if you are not using this version, okay, if you're not using this version and you're using this version, I will not run this iteration.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I will not run this iteration. I will start from here. So what it will do now, it is starting from this iteration. What will be the value of current value here?
2.
2, right? What will be the previous value?
1.
What will be the next position? 1.
0.
1, 1, right?
1 run.
Next position of 2 is 1, right? And array, right?
Yeah.
Now take here the values. PV is what? 1.
Yeah.
CV is what? 2.
2.
You are saying 1 plus 2. It becomes 3.
Mhm.
Now you are returning a value, right? You're returning a value. It does not matter what you return. It has to be as per your logic. Now you're returning 3 here, right? So value 3 will be returned. So what is the return state? What is the return value from this iteration? 3.
3.
Now the rule is whatever you return from the previous value, from the previous iteration, it becomes the previous value here.
Previous value.
Got the point? If you would have not returned anything right from here, what you would have got? Undefined.
Mm.
Okay. What you would have got is undefined. And you would have done what? Undefined here, right? And again, undefined plus CV means undefined. Getting the point, right? So what will happen in this iteration? So you got 3 right as a result of the previous iteration, right? The returned value. Okay. Now what is the current value here? 3.
3.
Let's take 3. What is in this position? 2.
2.
Array is this only. So you sum up the numbers. What do you get? 6.
6.
3 plus 3, right? 3 plus 3, 6. That is the return value. So in the next iteration, the previous value would be what? 6.
6.
You got this here, right? And then you have what? 4. You will again 3 and this, right? And what will be the sum? 10, right? And you are returning it. Then you're passing it in the fifth iteration here. 10 here, then 5, then fourth index, the array. The result is 15. Now there is no more item to go ahead, right? This is your final result. And once you return to it, you're collecting into a variable, const balance, right? So balance will receive what value? 15, because that is the last returned value from this reduce method. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, there are a lot of rules around it, right? That's why it's not easy to get it in the fun go, right? But I hope with this example, it is making a lot of sense, right? How things are happening. Now, just to increase that confusion, right? They provided us a second method like this, right? And they said, if let's say you are interested in running the iteration 5 times, let's say I am not okay that it is skipping this part, right? Let's say it is not skipping. So it's saying that, okay, the problem for reduce in this way was that why it was skipping is because PV was undefined, correct? PV was undefined in the first iteration if it would have ran in this way, right? For this method, PV was undefined, correct or no?
Yes.
Right? Right? And that's why this made a decision, okay, I will not run this iteration. I will start from second iteration. But now they're saying that if you give me the PV, right? If you give me the PV Then I will start from first iteration only. Okay. So they provided us a second method. So what you can do is you can give a initial value here, right? Like this. You will create a same method like this you're doing, right? The similar method here, like this. But this time you will give an initial value. So initial value would be what? Let's say I will give here 0. So what will be the iteration? What will be the PV here now? So now if you are running your reduce method like in this way, right? This way, this mode, what will happen is it will not skip this part. It will run this part. So first iteration, let's see. What is the PV here?
0.
0.
So you get 0 here, not undefined this time. And now 0 plus 1, writing the logic, you get 1.
1.
So you're passing 1 here, right? And then the same flow happens. Understanding the point? You got PV as 1, right? Which is the result of the previous iteration. So you got 1 here. In this second iteration, what is the value of CV? 2. You added 1 and 2, right? You got 3. Then the same cycle will happen, right? And ultimately you are returning 15, right? From the last iteration. So that gets saved there. So either you use this or you use this, both will return the same value, right? But the way it is working, right, is very different. Here only 4 iterations are running, and here 5 iterations are running. Okay. So you have to be careful, like what is your intention, and accordingly use the reduce method. Let us see this in action. I hope it will make sense, right? But practice is the only part which can make it more clear. Okay, let's try this. So I will take very simple example, the similar one which we are saying over there. Let me write here. Let me comment this out. Let's go ahead. This is transaction, right? So I want to find the balance here, right? So I will say const balance equals to transaction dot reduce. Okay, I will give all the values PV, CV, index, and array, right? And this is my arrow function. Let me make it more clear here. Okay, and I will write what? I will write the logic as let sum equals to PV plus CV, and I will say return sum here. Okay, and let's print out on the screen what output do we get. Console.log balance. And also do one thing, right? Let us also print the information here, what index we are on, how this is executing. Hey Shalish, I hope you again missed the point, right?
Not an issue. I'll watch the recording, so not an issue.
Okay. You can watch today's recording only, I believe, right? Don't watch yesterday's recording. I think we covered more things in lesser time today. So and we took I think it would be better, right, if you follow today's recording, not yesterday's one.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. I like yesterday's recording. I saw 2.5 hours. It demotivated me.
No, no, I understand, right? Watching 2 hours content is also not okay, but that's why I encourage people to watch it in twice the speed or 1.5 at least speed, right? So that you can save time, and also make sure that you are setting the quality of the video to be the maximum over there, so that the things on the screen can get clear. Sometimes they get hazy, right, because of the network issues or because of the default setting. So yeah, please do that accordingly. Okay, so print here, right? So I will print console.log, and let's say, let me write here, right? Previous value is, PV. Current value is CV. Index is index, and array is okay. So I'm printing all this, and let's run this. Let's see the output. We have to understand that I am running the first version of thing, right? So how many iterations it will run? Oh, I did not create that array. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Let us first understand with that example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's run this. You see how many times it ran?
4
4
times.
times, right? And you can see what is the current value in the first iteration, 2, right? So you can understand that it skipped the first iteration, right? Which is for this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, and you can understand the part, right? The what is the PV here? 1 here, right? In the first iteration, right? Because we told, right? But why it is 3 in the second iteration? Because it is taking the value which we returned from here, right? What was the output of sum in the first iteration here? 1 plus 2 is 3, and you're returning that value. So once you return that value is taken as an input for the second iteration, and PV receives that value. So PV became what? 3, right? And then 3 plus 3 becomes 6. So in the next iteration, PV was 6. Then you did sum again, 6 plus 4, and you're returning it. So in the next iteration, it was 10. And then there was no other item to iterate through, so it stopped there, and it gave 15 here as an output. Let me remove this return statement. Let's see what do we get now. I'm not returning. Okay, I'm not returning. Does anyone know what will be my output here?
Undefined.
This part, undefined, right? And I hope now you will understand why it is undefined. You can see undefined, 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 right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Akhil, one quick question. Um, we are writing the statement as let sum equals to this.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
does it again reinitializes sum every time the iteration runs?
I think yes, because every iteration is a very focused scope of work, right? And it lives for that iteration only. In the next iteration, right, the values would be the variable would be again be declared, right? So let me say const here, right? So if you think, right, that it will not work, let me see. I think it should work, right? Because what happens here is everything over here, right, gets executed or declared again for the second iteration, and then
Yeah.
the things for the first iterations goes away. Okay, let's see this. This is the same thing, right, which happens for that 4 of thing, right, where I think someone was asking why we use const there. Because I mean, right, let me first run this. Let's see, and let me say return here first of all to make things work. Let me clear it up. You see, it worked, right? Now someone can ask me, Akhil, why sum is we have declared sum as a const, and why we are able to set new values to it?
Yeah.
Does anyone have this question?
Yeah, myself.
Okay, what do you think the answer is? You know
And
that it is not behaving that way. So you know
Again,
that
it works on the
I mean,
value in every iteration. In each iteration, the value is also changing and it is redeclaring it.
so it is like this. You try to understand that when it ran for the first time, right? This piece of code, it ran it, right, and it was done. It was garbaged. It was pushed to the dustbin, and now in the second iteration, everything is happening fresh. Okay, so with every iteration, the value, right? It is like it declared a new sum variable here for the second iteration, and then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. Okay, this is how it is working. This is the nature of this is the nature of how this iteration thing happens here, right? In JavaScript. Even if you write here, right, for const uh, well of transaction, here also, right, what happens here? Well will receive a new value after every iteration, right? So it means that we are defeating the purpose of having a const. But that's not the case, right? That's not the case. The case here is, I gave this example last time also, I think to Harsh only. He was asking this question. So let me show you. If someone feels, right, that Akhil, you're defeating the purpose of this, let me show you. Let me first print this, right? Console.log. Well, right? So this is const.log.well. You see, it printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means that value, right, when it run for the first iteration, you declared const well, right? And it received the value from transaction which was 1. So well received the value of 1 and you're printing it. Now in the second iteration, if you think, right, that we created the const variable, since it is constant, so value should not be allowed to be changed, right? And if you think that in the second iteration, how value will get changed to 2, right?
Mhm.
So again, for that reason only I was explaining that part. But let me first show you like what is happening here, right? See here, console.log well, right? I'm doing this part. I'm printing this,
Mhm.
right? Let me do this thing now. Well equals to well plus 10. What am I doing here? I am updating the value of well, right?
Mhm.
Console.log well here. Okay. Okay, let me show you on the board. I think that will make more sense for everyone. Yeah, here. So let's do that for loop only, right? For const well of transactions, and I'm writing the code here like this. Let me just print console.log well, okay, well, and then I'm saying well equals to well plus 10, and I will print it again. Right, let me write here. So the transaction array was this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's start this. So we will run in the first iteration, second, third, fourth, and fifth. What happens in the first iteration here? Okay, I'm telling you now how things are happening here, right? In the first iteration, if you use this for loop like this, right? This for loop, for off, right? If you use this, what happens here? It will declare a new variable called const well. Okay, and what
Okay.
value it will receive? 1,
1.
right? 1 here. Now you know that if you create a variable with const, right, the value cannot be changed. Correct?
Yeah.
So I am not done with my iteration, right? I'm still here only. I have to still execute these lines. Correct?
Correct.
I've only got the value of well because of this part, right? Now I am on this line. I am printing console.log.well. What will it print? 1 as an output in the first iteration.
Mhm.
Now, so this is okay, right? This will work. Now you are saying well equals to well plus 10. Correct?
Correct.
Will this work?
Should update, right?
Why? Well is a const value, right? So const values are not updated.
Oh yes.
It will not work, right? It will throw
To
the error. It will say, why are you reinitializing the value to a const variable, right? You will
correct.
get that error, and this will throw, I think, a reference error or const with that exception kind of a thing, and it will stop here only, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Let me ignore this part. Let me just cut this line. Let's say cut this line. Now, if I run this, right, it's if I run this line only for const well and console.log well, right? So let's run it again. So what do we have in the first iteration? Const val equals to 1, right? And
Mhm.
it will print 1, correct?
Mhm.
Now in the second iteration, what do you think is happening? Will it just do this part, val equals to 2, or will it do something like this? Const val equals to 2. Which
Con
version is correct?
const
This one
val
or this one?
equal to 2.
So what does it mean is the previous thing, right? Whatever you did in the previous iteration, whatever variable you created in the previous iteration have gone to the dustbin. They
Okay.
have gone to dustbin, right? They does not exist anymore. So there is no const well variable which you would have declared earlier. It does not exist anymore. Okay,
Okay.
okay, right? In the second iteration, what will happen is it will look. Do I have a well variable here? It will see no, I do not have this for this scope of work, right? For this scope of work, I don't have a well variable, and it will create a new const variable. Okay, and it will be marked const, right? Now the reason why I'm marking this const is because in the logic of the function, I should not be able to update the value of well, like I was doing here.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the whole point of marking it as const, so that no one should be able to update the value of this well itself, right? Over here. If you have that intention that the your logic will change the value of well, do not use const here, use let here. So within that iteration, you are allowed to now change the value of L also, right?
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
So this is how the let, see, you have to first differentiate the difference between let and const. Let are those variables which for which the value can update. Const are those variables which for which value cannot be updated, right? And they exist for a reason, right? And it will depend on your context, your questions, whatever you are trying to solve. So if you have the intention and you're trying to write a logic where with every within the iteration itself you do not expect anyone to change the value, then you should use const. You should continue using const. But if let's say you have an intention that you will change the value also, right? Then you should use let here. And why const works here is because every iteration it creates a new variable and assign that value to it. Right? Similarly, things are happening in this case. In this case, right? The above part, every iteration it is creating a new sum variable. And the previous iteration it goes to dustbin. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. The way you're sounding, I feel like you're not understanding it correctly, but I think you require some practice. Okay? Practice more, and I think it will start making sense. Go and practice just the const and the let, right? And see like what is the behavior. And you can just practice the examples which I gave you, right? And I'm sure it will start making sense. Okay, then?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Okay, let's move ahead, right? Okay, I did not complete this reduce part. So what we did here, right? In the reduce part, the second version of reduce, right? What was that? In this case, right, we saw, if I run it again, right? If I run it again, let me just show you the example again. If, sorry, not this one. Oh, this was this only, right? Yeah. This was the output, right? It ran 4 times and the value of PV was 1 because it started from the second iteration. Now see what I will do. This is my one parameter of the reduce function, right? This is one parameter. I want to give an initial value, right? So once I am done with this function, right, put a comma and provide a value. This is my initial value now. And this time what will happen is this loop will run 5 times now. And in the first iteration, what will the value of previous value? This 10. Let me run it. See this? It ran 5 iterations this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the first iteration, it started from 1 here, right? You can see the index position 0, right? So it is starting here. But this time it is not undefined here, right? What is here? 10. How did it got 10? Because you specified a initial value, and that is the purpose of it. Okay? You're providing an initial value here. If you look at this reduce method, right? See here. This is the callback function which stops here, right? And this is a second variable which can accept, which is the initial value. I am using that part, right? And if you use this combination of the function and the previous and the initial value, it will run as many times as values you have. So I have 5 values, so it ran 5 times. Okay. If I wanted a similar result as earlier, right? What should be my initial value here?
0.
0.
Right? So let's run this. Correct? I hope now reduce method makes sense.
Akhil, one quick question.
Yeah, please.
So what does the return sum signifies? Like if in normal scenario when we write return statement, it basically
Mhm.
gives it back.
Yes,
So
correct.
let's
In
say,
this case, right, it is giving back to the next iteration.
and in the next iteration, again the sum is again getting reinitialized. So
See,
how the value of sum is getting used again?
the value which is returned from the first iteration, which is sum, right? It is not the sum variable, it's a value, right? What is the value of sum here in the first iteration? 0 plus 1 is what?
On one.
1, right? So you are returning not sum as a variable, you're returning 1 here, right? It's just that sum is a variable holding that value,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We are returning one back to the
right?
next
1 back.
iteration.
So next iteration got PV as 1 here, right?
Yes, one.
Whatever you're
Oh,
returning from the previous iteration gets set to
okay.
PV, right?
Okay. Now clear. Okay.
Okay, great. Yes, Harsh, please.
So can we like know like in real life scenario where will we use this reduce and how will this will be helpful to us? Like I can't figure out any um, scenario in testing based on testing.
Okay. Again, right, it depends on the context. But one of the examples which I can think of right now is like I was telling you yesterday. Let's say there is a let's say this is a e-commerce website, okay, and you have added items to the cart, and now you are ready to make a payment, okay. So you have items like let's say item one, the name of it, and then you have the quantity of it, then you have the price of it, then you multiply it, right, and you get the value, right. So it is like quantity into price, right, and you have several items here, right, like this, and in the end you have the total being displayed, right. So total value is also displayed here. Now let's say that you have a use case where you wanted to read through the grid, right, and you wanted to grab all these values here, right. Let's say you have a test case where you will first validate whether quantity into price is this value or not. Let's say you calculated that, right, and now you want to make sure the total price charged to you is correct or not, right. So you want to collect all these values. So let's say you will collect them into an array. So this is the price one, price two, price three, right? All this, right? What is the intention of collecting them? You want to sum them up, right? I mean, see, using a sum is just one of the context, right? Let's say you have the intention of multiplying them, or maybe you are getting some strings, right? And you wanted to evaluate the first characters of it, right? And maybe form it like a continuous string. So it depends on the context. But if you take this example, right? The intention here is that you should be able to get all these prices one by one, right, and get it into an array somewhere, right, stored somewhere, and then you would like to you will like to get the summation of all the values, and whatever value you return, right, as a single value after adding them all that, you want to compare this value with this. If it matches, your test case pass, otherwise not.
I think another example will be like if you can use the API to get, to get the numbers and match it on the table on your front end. For example, we did use it recently. It's like I have an API which returns me, n number of customers who has been processed. I don't want to
Okay.
go in context of the project part, but
Uh-huh.
there is a anti-money laundering requirement. We want to see who is good, happy good customer, who is failed customer, who is there are some criteria. So
Okay.
based on, we have an API, we run the customers, use the API to
Mm-hmm.
run the batch processor to be precise, and then we get the numbers. So okay, this out of 1,000 records, 65 has passed, 25 has failed, and and the rest are
Mm-hmm.
didn't run, error.
Okay. Okay.
So now you can use the map to get those people who have passed. There are criteria, how they pass.
Mm-hmm.
There is a flag. There are some flags.
Okay.
Get
Okay.
that, and then use the reduce method to get the number. The
Okay,
65.
got it.
The 65, and then that 65 matches with the report on the front end. On the front
So
end
you're
also
you,
shows you.
so basically you're counting the number of records which you get, right, out of once you evaluate everything, and then you're matching that number with the value which is displayed on the screen, right?
Yeah. We use a map to get the criteria. For pass,
Got
there
it.
is a flag. There are some, three flags which we see. We get the
Mhm.
edit as an array, say past customers into an array, and then
Okay.
that array we use it to do a reduce to get the count.
Okay. No, absolutely correct, right? Again, as I'm saying, right, there could be multiple use cases of it, but we have to be thoughtful about those scenarios, right, and situations. Like the example which Velen is giving, right, is absolutely correct, right? That is what one of the contexts could be. Let me try to replicate this situation which Velen said, right, in a different way. Yes, Kiran, please.
Yeah, so as this example Velen is giving, so we can use a filter to filter the customers and then use a map for a specific criteria, and then later on we can use reduce to count and then verify. So it's a test case. We can
Absolutely correct.
yeah.
Absolutely correct. Since you gave a very brilliant answer, right, Villain? So let me show you, right, show everyone this part, right? Let's take one example here, right? What I will do here is, let's say we have not learned about objects, so I'm not taking that example. Let's say that I have this example, right? So I'm saying uh, I wanted to, let's say I have some names, right? Let's take this case, customer names, right? Customer names, and I will take some names as what what we should say. Okay, Akhil, right? There are some initials of the letters, right? AJ. Let's say AJ. There is something called Valency, and we have let's say Shailesh Kumar. Sorry, sorry, right? If I'm forgetting someone's name or not writing correctly, I'm just giving some random names. So let's say TM or something around it, right? Let's say AL, and let's say uh, AZ, right? Let's say, right? Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names here, right? Now let's say I have a logic where I wanted to calculate, right? Whether okay, whether okay, okay, just a thing, right? Let me just think. Akhil Kumar Jain, let's say. Uh, Valen, uh, Valen C, let's say. I'm just giving some random name, right? Please don't say that Akhil is not using the right name. I'm just writing anything, right?
No,
Shailesh Kumar, uh, Kumar Singh, let's say, I don't know, right? And TM, let's say, Tina Munir, let's say, uh, Ashish, Lokhandwala, and let's create one more, Ajay, uh, Ajay Kumar Chaudhary, let's say, right? I don't know. Okay. So let's say these are the different names. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And let's say I have a use case where I want to find out, the names, the numbers of users who have middle names, right? So how many of the users here have middle names? What is the count of them? 3, right? At least from reading it, we can get, okay, Akhil Jain is, this is one name, this is second name, and this is the third name, right? Others does not fit that criteria. Let us see how we can use that map, filter, and reduce together to get a result. Okay, let's start doing this. Customer names, right? Map. Why I'm using map? Because I would like to return an array, right, of the output. Okay, so okay, so let me think. I will get what? I will get the values here. Let's do this. Well, I'm writing the logic now. Okay, so when I'm saying well, I'm receiving the complete name, Akhil Kumar Jain. Let us do one thing. Let us split it, right? By splitting this, I will get the thing, right? So if I split this with the space here, right? What do we get? We get array, right? Everyone, what is happening here?
Yes.
Akhil Kumar Jain dot split by space. It will split Akhil Kumar Jain into 3 values, right? And form an array. So the output of this method would be an array, right? And what can I do after that thing is I can do one thing. I can check, right, whether the what is the length of this, correct? And if the length matches to 3, if the length matches to 3, what I will do is I will return well. You getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're getting the point, right? So this will get well, right? Otherwise, I'm not returning, right? Otherwise, I'm not returning. Okay. So in the end, right, what would be my output? Can anyone know? Let us just check this. Let's say, let me write F1A, right? What is the output of this thing?
Akhil Kumar Jain, Shailesh Kumar Singh, and Ajay
F1,
Kumar Chaudhary.
F1, right? So let's run this part. Oh, I got undefined here because it returned undefined. Yeah, okay. So we got also for every item, it will return the value, right? Like this. So in case of these things, right, it returned me a value. But for the things for the items which I am not returning the value, it has returned undefined, right? Okay. Now let's do the filtering on it. Okay. What I will do now is let me remove this. Now the output of this is an array. This array, right? This is the array. This is the output of this thing, right? Let me do the filtering. Filter, right? Filter. So I'm receiving the value, right? Again, value. I will do what? If well not equals to undefined, right? I will do what? Return the well. Now if I do the thing again, const f1 equals to this, what will be my output now? This time I should receive these three values, right? Akhil Kumar Jain, Shailesh Kumar Singh, and Ajay Kumar Chaudhary. Three outputs. I filtered it out. First, I processed it. Then whatever output I got, right, I filtered it out, right? And then now we'll move ahead, right? Now let's say I want to reduce this, right? I want to reduce the count, right? Now what is my logic, right? My ultimate goal was I wanted the count of such users who have middle names, right? Now I am getting this. Even my job again, right? This is an array, right? This is an array, and even right, this can work for me, right? I can simply do this thing. See here. If I wanted, right, I am getting this here, right, and I can just say f1.length. Okay, so this will also do my job. I can just say 3, right? I'm getting the output. But let's say I don't want to use this part. Okay, I don't want to use this part. I want to make use of reduce. Okay, I want to make use of reduce. So what I will do here is, yeah, so I will say, well, right, see here what I'm doing now. I'm receiving, so what I will receive here, right? This reduce method will receive an array of 3 inputs, right? All 3 names, right? Whatever we found in the previous case, right? So it will receive that array of 3 inputs. Now with well, you're receiving it. So sorry, not this part. I wanted to bring this here, right? So this is the method here, right? Let me also do one thing. I will provide an initial value here, right? So the initial value would be here. Let's say 0. Okay, let's say 0. What I will do here? I will do this time. I will say, I will just say return. Oh, I'm doing a mistake here, right? It has to be previous value and value, right? So what will happen in the first iteration? Previous value would be 0, right? And I will do what? I will say previous value plus 1. Okay. What can I get here as an output? I'm printing F1 here, right? I got 3. Did you understood why did I got 3?
Yes,
And
sir.
you can see, right, I'm chaining map, filter, and reduce, and this is called functional programming. This is an example of functional programming. And think about it, right? I mean, you are able to write a code in a continuous stream of inputs, right? This return you an output. You wanted to work on it. You just change the method and started working on it. Whatever the output of it, you are just passing it to the next one, and then this is receiving it, and it is doing what it has to do. Okay. but everything should make sense. You should understand what is happening. Mugging up will not help anywhere.
So this is both functional programming and method chaining is like kind of same thing.
No, functional programming is a broader term which includes method chaining as in, let's say, a property of it or a feature of functional programming.
Method
Okay.
chaining. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Again, my intention here is not to explain you functional programming. My intention here is that you should understand that the proper use case of map, filter, and reduce could be anything, right? Based on your context. But as what Velen gave an example, right? I think that's a good example to see the real functioning of them in a single program, right?
Yeah, in this one, in the reduce function, I had a if condition that if get the past record, see how many past records are there, field record, how many field records are there. So it gave me those values. Yeah.
Great. So this is how it is, right, everyone? Okay. Okay, there is one more method, right, to deal with arrays, which is still pending. Let's move to that, and that is called sorting. Okay, let's very quickly go there. I want to wind up arrays today itself. I don't want to take any more class on arrays. Right, so let's move up on that part. Okay, so let us see, right? I had a I created an array somewhere on the top with the names or no? No. Well, let me use this only. I'm using this array, right? So this is my array, and we're talking about sorting. Now, these are the numbers, these are the names, right? And you can see these are not in specific sorted order, right? These are like just some entries made to the array. Now, let's say I have the intention of sorting them in ascending order. What does ascending order means? Like it should be from A to Z, right? A to Z. It should be like this. And currently we're talking about strings, right? In strings. We'll also talk about later about numbers also. Numbers, okay? We are currently talking about strings. Now, how can we sort these in JavaScript? Again, we do not have to use any third-party thing or anything, right? Everything is available in arrays methods only. So you can use customer names dot sort. Okay, there is a method called sort. Use it. Let's run it. Okay, one more thing. Sort method mutates the original array. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Console.log. I will, after sorting, I'm printing the original array. Okay, my bad. Customer name only. Let's run this. You see this? It got sorted. Ajay, JK, GHI, JKL, right? So J is correct. Then K, and after K comes the S part, right? Then after all the A's, we have S, then T, then V, right? So it is getting sorted. This is getting sorted correctly. It is in the ascending order. So, okay, so this is ascending order. What about the descending order? If I wanted to run things in, sorry, just a second. What about descending order? So let's say I want to print things in the reverse order. So Valen should be on the first, then Tina, then Charesh, then Ashish, then Akhil, then Ajay. How can I sort it? I can see only one method in arrays, which is say sort. Right? There's only one method. Okay. Does anyone know how sorting happens in Java? Is anyone familiar with that part? No? Okay. See, even in Java, right? If you would see, there is a function. There are methods like comparator, comparable. There is a method called sort, right? Which you get from those interfaces. And so again, that is the way to reach to that sort method, right? But here you get that sort method attached to that array itself. Okay. In Java, you get the sort method by doing all of that, which is another thing, right? But here, right, the way this sort method works and the logic with which Java sort method works are almost same. There is no difference in the logic which they use to run the program. I mean, to sort the numbers or sort these strings, right? There is no difference. What is that logic? Okay, what is that logic? Let's understand this part. Okay. Okay, we are talking about strings right now. Okay, we'll talk about numbers later. Let me create a new board. Let me clean this up. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So how sorting works, right? Let me take very small names. I will not write all that names. Akhil, let's say Tina, Velen. Oh, I wrote in the in the proper order only. Let's say Tina here, right? Tina, and let's say Shivam here, right? Shivam here. So these are 4 names of the array, and I want to sort the array now, right? These are not in sequence, right? I want to do in ascending order, right? And we're talking about string currently. Now, what I wrote here, right? I just gave a variable called names, and I just said names dot sort. So now the key take point, the key takeaway here is, if you are dealing with strings, right, and your intention is to just do the ascending order, right, then you do not have to take any pain. Just write names dot sort, and it will sort the array into the ascending order, right? So what will happen? What will be the output? Akhil. Oh, what after Akhil comes? PQRS, right? So Shivam will come. PQRST, then Tina will come, and then Velen will come, right? This will work. Although how this was able to find this thing, right, is something which we have to know, right? And that is where I'm coming now. Okay. Ascending order, right? We were not writing anything here, right? In this method here. Let's talk about descending. Now I want to print something like this. I want to print Velen first, Tina then Shivam, and then Akhil. How can I do this descending order part? I'll have the same method only, right? The same method, names dot sort. But this time I have to do something within this part here, right? Let us look at the sort method. What is the sort method, right? And what input does it take? Yeah,
Like, can we use dot reverse method on after names dot sort and then dot reverse?
let us see. I don't remember. Let's see. So you're saying reverse. What do we? Let me see. What is the written type of sort? Sort returns you an array of string, right? So yes, okay. So we can do reverse, right? Oh, great. Yeah, you can do that, right? Yeah, I think this can be done. You can do this, right? So if you do it reverse also, okay, reverse is the element in an array in place. This method mutates the array, right? So it will do that, right? So if you do this, you will get what the reverse order of it, which is absolutely correct. Great. This will also work, right? Let's run this. So this will work. Okay, this part will work. But let's say I don't want to use reverse. I still want to use sort only. How can I achieve this output using sort only? Okay, let's think about that part. Okay. Otherwise, what you said is absolutely correct. If someone now needs a shortcut, they at least first thing, right? Just sort them and then do a reverse. Okay, but try to understand here, right? There is a difference doing this and doing in a single go. Okay, in a single go. If you do this right, if you are able to achieve this, here you can see you perform 2 operations here. One the sort and then the reverse, right? So the sort operation, when it worked, right, it did its own it did its own execution. You got an output and then you started doing reverse also. So there are 2 different operations which you executed, right? When you are sitting for the interview, an interviewer can ask, okay, I can see you are doing a shortcut because those are provided by arrays, but I don't want to take 2 different executions here, right? Once you do sort and then reverse, I want you to do the things in a single execution by doing a single sort. How can you do that? Okay, at least you should be knowing that this is a smarter way to do things, but again, you have to understand that this will have a bigger, this will have more time, right? It will take more time to execute this. If you can do it in a single shot, it would reduce your time of execution, right, Harsh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's see how sort method works, right? So if you look at sort, right, again, there is a it's a arrow function, right? You can see there is a callback function here. Now, what is this callback function? So first of all, let me go to the board, right? This is a callback function here, right, which you can provide. Okay, okay. Why? Okay, you can see, right? This is a callback function, compare function, question mark, colon. This is the entire thing, right? Here, right? This is the entire thing, and this is, you can see, right? This is what does this question mark indicates? It means that this variable is optional. Okay, this variable is optional in the parameter, in the functions. We have not talked about them in detail. We'll talk about them, right? But try to understand, whenever you see a parameter in the function marked with this question mark, it means that it's an optional parameter. If you wish to provide, you can provide. If you don't want to provide, then it will have its own default way of working. Okay, in this ascending case, right, you can see I did not provide any input. I did not give a callback function, and it still worked, right? It was still able to sort it into ascending order, right? It was working. But when it comes to ascending, you will have to deal with that callback function. Now you need to do something here. Okay, now what is this callback function? It is taking a and b here, right? A and b. So let us think about it, right? What is this callback function? The callback function here is, it will take two inputs, a comma b, and then there has to be a body here. Okay, the rule says that what is a and b here, right? What is a and b? A is the current value. Okay, the current value, and b is the previous value. Okay, b is the previous value. Now, what this logic says, right? The intention of this current value and previous value providing is like, it wants to compare these two values. Okay, current value and previous value. So what it will do is, okay, let me come to the rule first, right? I'm sure this is not understandable again in a single go, but I will try my best. So this is AV here, right? And you have to give a body. The body, right? This thing over here, right, should return a number. Okay, the rule says should return a number. Should return a number. What did you give? A and B. You gave the sequences A and B, right? Like this, let's say A and B, right? These are the sequences. Let me first show you, right, what I mean. See here, I am saying A comma B, and then I'm saying, okay, I'm saying what I will say, console.log. I also want you to realize this, right? What it is doing. Okay, the current value is A, and previous value is B. Okay, and let's do what? Let's, as of now, right, I'm just returning 0 0 0. Okay, I'm just returning 0 in all the cases. Ignore this part. My intention is to show you this part first, the above part, the console log part. Okay, let us see how many values I have. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 6 values, right, in this array. And the sort method, right, let us read about this also. Sorts an array in place. This method mutates the array and returns a reference to the same array. Okay, we understood this part. Let's come to this part. It says function used to determine the order of the elements. It is expected to return a negative value if the first argument is less than the second argument. Ignore that part, just understand it is expected. It is expected to return a negative value. Forget about negative, but what you understand here is it has to return a number, right? Okay, it is expected to return a number, and the value of the return value has to be either a positive value or a negative value or a 0. Okay, you can return only these three things: minus, any minus value, any positive value, or a 0. Okay, you can return only these three kind of inputs, sorry, outputs: positive value, negative value, or a 0. You can see, right? Negative value, they have a, and once you return a negative value, right, it will interpret things in a different way. If you give positive, it will interpret in a different way. If you give 0, it will interpret with a different way, right? Okay, so you can see, you can give a 0 or you could give a positive value, right? Otherwise, if omitted, the elements are okay. Let's leave it right now. Now let's come back to this part, right? Let me first run this as of, right? I'm returning 0, 0, 0. Okay, I'm returning 0. Customer names, I'm printing this. Let's see what output do we get here. And how many times the loop runs, okay? How many times the loop runs? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. Okay. Can you see how many times the loop ran? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct?
Correct.
Yes or no? Correct, right? It ran 5 times. How many values I had?
6.
6. 6, right? Again, you have to again see, right? Current value is Valen Chaudhary. Okay. What do you see here? What does it signifies?
Started from the index
Second iteration.
second iteration. Yeah.
It skipped the first iteration.
Yeah.
Okay. To understand this part again, right? Sort also works in that way, right? It removes the first iteration. Why? There's a simple reason for it, because this requires a previous value also, right? In the first iteration, what would be my previous value? Undefined. So it does not want to get into that situation. So it is skipping that iteration itself. And it starts from here, right? And for this iteration, it has this current value, and your previous value becomes what? Akhil Jain. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, right, for the second iteration, right, what will happen is this will be my second in the second iteration. Shailesh is the second value, right? And this Velan, right, was my previous value. For Tina, right, Tina Munir, previous value is Shailesh, right? For Ashish, the previous value is Tina. For Ajay Kumar Chaudhary, the previous value is Ashish Lotkandwala. So are we clear on this part, right? So with every iteration of sort, so sort is also running multiple times. How many times? Whatever the length of the items is, right, in the array, -1. Okay, it is running that much time. Again, I'm
The
telling you,
array
right, you
also
don't
right
have to
now, right?
understand all this in detail, because when, sorry,
Sorry, sir, there's some network issue. I'm asking that it is also not sorting the array currently.
it is not, right, because I am just returning 0 here, right? I'm returning 0. I purposefully mentioned 0, and it is just printing the same thing again, right, as it is. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You can see, right, it is printing it as it is, right? It did not do anything. There is a reason, because I am returning 0 here. If I start returning positive, negative, right, it will start changing things. Okay, we'll talk about it, but let me just do this part, right? So see again, right, what I'm saying is, okay, the point which I was trying to make is, it's not that you have to understand the internals of sort, right? No, you have to understand only one basic thing, which I'm trying to tell you now. Let me remove some, let me clear some board, delete the board. Okay, here, right, we had that value here, Akhil Valentina and things, right? And what the sort will do is, let me write again, Akhil Valentina and Shivam. So again, let me write, what is the length? 4. Index position is what? 0, 1, 2, 3. Correct? Now, again, sort method does not deal with index position, right? So we do not care about it, but I'm just mentioning here that this is the case. And let me give the names. This is the array. What I'm typing is names dot sort. Okay. And I'm telling you that this will take a callback function. So it will take a, let me not, I'm writing a here, right? A and b. Let's understand this way, right? But this a is your current value and b is your previous value. Okay. Then you are opening the brackets, and now you will write some logic here, right? Now I'm saying you have to return a value, you have to return a number here, right? That returned value, right? Return value either has to be a positive value, either it has to be a negative value or a zero. Nothing else. It has to be either of either of these three, right? It has to be that case. Now, if you return a positive value, okay, if you return a positive value, now this is current value and previous value, right? So the sequence is what? Okay, so what is the sequence here? So sequence is this is B and this is A, right? The sequence which you received is this, right? B and A. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You received this sequence, right? So this is your input sequence to this sort method, okay? To this sort method. You received this and you're giving it to the sort method. Let me say. So this is the sort method and you gave this as an input to this, right? Input. You gave this input. Now, if after evaluation during the sort method, right, it returned an output of, you said that it's a positive value, right? It's a positive value, right? If it is a positive value, right, what it will do is it will maintain the order. It will not change the order of things, right? So it will keep where the B was in the sequence and it will keep A where the sequence was. Okay, it will not do that. Okay, it will do that. Now, if you do, let's say in the second case, right, you gave, so in the positive case, it will maintain this order. Let's say instead of positive, you gave a negative output. Okay, -1, -3, -5, -100, -1000, whatever that value is, but a negative value. If you gave a positive value, again, +1, +3, or +1000 or 1 lakh, whatever that is, right? If that is the case, if you return a positive value, it will maintain the order. Whatever you got, you will just get it back. The output would be this. But if you return a negative value, it will change the sequence of it. Now you will get what? A and B. You got what? B and A in that sequence. But if you return a negative value, it will change that sequence. It will say now A will come before that and B after that. Okay, you have to remember this rule. This is how the sort method works. It is dependent on these positive and negative values. 0 is also considered as positive, right? Okay, 0 will also be considered as positive. So this falls under this category. So 0 also does not make any change. So it maintains the order, whatever you gave it. Okay, this is something which you have to remember. This is how sort method is working. Okay, now how will you calculate that I have to give a positive or a negative value? That should be a logical question in everyone's head now, right? These are strings, right? How will I decide what value to give right here? Do we have this question or not? We're talking about strings here, right? So why will I return a positive value and how will I return a positive or negative value or a number here? Yes or
Like
no?
applying some comparison logic, right? It will.
Right. So this is what we will do, right? Okay. What happens here is, again, this is again specific to sort method, right? You will do a comparison here, right? Let me just remove it. In the body of this, right, you will compare. You will see if A, right? Okay, tell me what is the SKY value of A, B, C, D, right? Let me tell you. What is the SKY value? I don't know. Is it 65 or 98 for A?
97, I guess.
97, right? This is the 97. So this will be 98, 99, 100. In this sequence only, right? Till Z. I hope everyone knows this, right?
Yes, sir.
The SKY value of your characters would be this only, right? For a capital A, it starts from 97. And as you move at right till Z, we have 26 characters, right? So 97, I think it will be 122, I believe, or 122, yes. If I am not wrong, right? This would be the last value for that, right? Similarly, if you would use small characters A, B, C, D, right? I think it starts from 65. Correct?
Correct.
65. So the last value of that would be 90, I believe. 26 characters, right? So this would be considered 65, 66, 67, 68, 69,
91.
70, 90 only, right? 90, right? Now, what are your characters starting here with? All caps, right? A, V, T, S, right? What this does is, what you can do is, you can, if you compare two strings, right? A comma B, right? Like this. You're comparing the numbers. If A is greater than B, right? A is your current value, which is valen, right? So you receive the sequence as B and A, right? Like this. So you're comparing, is A greater than B? A is your current value. So this is like you're comparing, is valen greater than what? Akhil A, right? Akhil A, right? What this will compare? It will compare the ASCII value of V and A. Okay? I mean, what is happening here, right? In this order, right? It will compare the strings like this. So if you see this, right, what will happen here? V value is what? Maybe 120 or 119, let's say, right? And Akhil would be 97. If you do this, right, you are saying return 1. Let's say, right, I'm saying return 1. Okay, let's say so when I'm saying return 1, it's a positive value. It's a positive value, right? Plus 1 is a positive value. So what it will do is it will maintain the order. So it will keep things like this, Akhil and Velen like this. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you will have to compare the value, right, and come up with a logic to return a value. And in the case of strings, right, you will just compare the value like this, right, by greater than and equal to. I mean this sign right here, right? And once you do this, it is comparing not the strings, it compares the ASCII value of the first character over there. Okay. Or let's say whatever that comes to, right? It will compare those values until it does not find a match, right? Let's say it was Velen here, right? Let's say it was well C. This is Velen C. So VEL, right? Everything was same till now. Then it will come to A and see, okay, who is bigger and what all that is, right? It will make a comparison and come out of this. This is how it works. Okay. Now,
So that means it is case sensitive for design.
yes, it is case sensitive. Correct. It is case sensitive. Right? Let me now show you, right? Again, it's not very easy to explain there, but let me just write it here now. I'm removing all this. Let's write the proper logic, right? So what I did told you here is, let me myself write it because I also tend to forget that part. I am receiving the values as this is my current value. This is my current value and that is my previous value, right? So A is my current value and B is my previous value, right? Okay. Okay. Now, and what I told you here is, this is the thing, and I'm receiving the values. The output, I mean, the input to this is like B and A, right? Because this is the previous value and this is the current value. So this is the sequence of input sequence, right? So when I say this, I mean in this case, I'm receiving Akhil Kumar Jain and Velen like this. Okay, I'm receiving this. So B is Akhil Kumar Jain and A is Velen Chaudhary, right? Because that is my current value, because it will skip the first iteration. Now here, right, what I will do here is I will write the logic. If A is my current value, which is Velen, so I'm checking if A is greater than B. I will say return, let's say, right, let me type actually, return 1, right, return 1. Else return -1. Okay. If we are returning a positive value, let me write it here now. If I return positive value, what will be my output? It will maintain the order as is, right? So it will maintain the order. Doesn't change any sequence, right? So it will be still B comma A, right? Which is this proper part here, like Akhil and this, right? It will be like this. But right, but if that is not the case, if it return negative value, it will switch the values. Now what I will get, A first and then B. It will do this way. So what will I get? I will get Velen first. This is all happening internally, right? I am not writing that logic of making a switch and all. What my responsibility as a user is to make sure that I am providing the correct value, right, in the correct place, right? What sort method needs it that after every iteration it should receive a number, a positive number or a negative number, right? It should receive that, and based on that returned value only, right, it will make the decision of changing the sequence or just keep on maintaining the sequence, right? Okay. And in case of strings, what are being compared? ASCII values are compared. Okay, this is the value. So let me see what do we get here, right? So I am writing it here. If a comma b is this, and let's print this out. Let's see what do we get. Greater than, let's say equal to, right? I'm comparing this part. If it is that the case, so I'll make it this way. Customer names, right? You get what? Ajay, Akhil, Ashish, Shailesh, Tina, Will, right? So this is currently working in the ascending order, right? A to Z. If I want to do the opposite of it, what I'll do is minus here and plus here. You see, just changing the output, right? In both the cases, right? So what will happen, right? If a is greater than equal to b, earlier I was saying +1. So when I was returning a positive value, it did not care to change the value, right? So, right, it was again, right? I'm sure it is not easy to remember and it is not always easy to logically think about it. But just try to understand, right? What you should remember from this sort method is that it takes two inputs, a and b, right? And then you have to return a positive or a negative value. For strings, make sure that you do this type of comparison, right? A greater than equal to b something, right? And you can just try to see, right, that if you provide 1 here and negative in next value, right, what is the sequence of order? Is it in ascending or descending order? If it is in ascending order and you expect and you want it to be in descending order, just change the order here, right? As I did, I just made this -1 and +1 here. Okay, and then it will start behaving this way. Let me show you again, right? If you can see, right, if I run it, this is in the descending order, right? So v coming first and all this. And then if I, let's say I want to again get in the ascending order, I'm just changing the return value, right, on those comparisons. That's it. I'm not changing anything else. I'm sure it's not clear in the first go. Please go and try this. And you have to remember a couple of things here, right? It's not that you have to understand how sort internally is doing all the operations and comparing all the 5 values against each other. Don't get into the discussion, right? Because there are a lot of sorting techniques. We have binary sort, we have merge sort, we have insertion sort, right? In this sorting technique, the sort method internally is using merge sort and insertion sort together. Okay, but you do not need to care about what sorting technique this method is doing. What you need to care about is that you have to make sure that you are you are providing the expected result, right, after every iteration, which is a positive or a negative value. And you can do this way, right, if you're comparing strings. Yes, Harsh.
So, sir, when the first iteration happens, it like since they are this array, there are 6 values. But when we execute, like it should execute 5 times. Like first value should be will be considered as previous values. It does not perform operation on that. So, like I'm just getting in why it's not giving undefined or something like.
No, it is not. See, there are 6 values, right? And this iteration will run 5 times. So in the first iteration, the previous value would be Akhil, and the current value would be Velen. There are 6 values here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? How many times the sort is running? Only 5 times for these values. For Velen, when this starts, right? When it starts here, the current value is this. What is the previous value? Akhil Kumar.
Okay, yeah.
So it is running 5 times. But again, I'm telling you, right? Don't. I just told you just out of just for your information purpose, right? That it is running 5 times. You do not have to care about that, at least in the sort method, right? What you need to care about is that you have to provide that you have to adhere to this rule. Okay, that you have to return a positive or a negative value. Okay, and in case of strings, if you're trying to do the sorting right, make sure you're comparing the strings like this and returning the value. That's it. This is what you have to remember from our discussion of sort. I'm not trying to teach you like how internally sort is doing all the stuff, because I myself don't know that inside details. And I think if you will try to get there, right, it is of no sense or no use, right? Because as I told you, right, this sort method over here is using something called time sort as a technique. Okay, internally, how it works, why it works, I don't know, and I don't care. So neither should you, right? Okay, but what you should care about is like what kind of inputs after every iteration this sort method is expecting. It is expecting a number, a positive number or a negative number. If you give a positive number, it will not do anything. If you give a negative number, it will do a swap, right? And in case of string, this is the apt logic which you will ever write. Okay, so if you have a string to compare, just stick to this rule. Okay.
What happens actually if it is 0? There are two same names.
Then it will not do anything, right? If you say Velen, if you compare with Velen, I have put a equal sign here, right? It will fall under this category only, right?
Okay.
And it will return what? 1.
Sorry, equal sign. I didn't see that equal sign. Sorry.
Right? So this is how it will compare that value. And I don't care, right, whether it switches or not. If let's say even if I switch two Velens, right, with each other, you are still Velen only, right? So I can just put it like this and leave it. Then also it will fall under this category. It will switch two Velen together, right? Velen with Velen. It will not have any impact, right? You're understanding the point?
Yeah, got it.
Right? If I do Velen here, right? Let's say I put Velen here. This Velen with this Velen, right? I mean, I have two Velens here. If I compare this to this, right? And let's say it says comes to be equal, right? And I'm saying greater than this, right? It will not fall under this category, so it will not say 1, right? It will get into -1 and it will say swap. After swapping, what happens? Velen only, right? It will still be the similar kind of sequence. Velen here, right? That's why it does not make any significance, but you have to care. But when the things are different, then you have to take care of those, right? Okay. Okay. See again. Please just practice it, right? I'm not expecting you to know everything about this, right? Just understand like what output we have to return. That's it from the sort, and there is nothing else to be worried about. Okay. In the case of sort. Okay. Let me just go to some numbers also. Just show you like how the numbers can be sorted. Okay. I'll use what? Okay, let me do it here only. Just a second. Okay, I'll not do it here. I will just put it into a bracket like this. Numbers now, right? Let me create numbers. Const. Let's say transactions, right? Again, my favorite transactions. So I'll create some numbers. Let's say 5, 89, 45, -2, 89. Sorry, 89 again. I said. Let's say put 89 again. Let's say 45. Oh, 45. Sorry, 23. Right? Let's say these are my numbers, right? And I want to sort them. Right? So let's say I want to do sort in the ascending order. So can someone help me? What should I write? Transactions dot
Sort?
and should I leave it blank as the way I was doing in with strings?
No.
In case of strings, I was leaving it blank and it was able to sort it in the ascending order. Remember? In case of strings, I could leave like this only, right? And it was able to sort them in the ascending order. Who remembers this part? Anyone? Or not?
Could you repeat your question? Couldn't heard.
My question is that if I want to, oh sorry. My question is, I have an array of strings and I want to set them in the ascending order. So can I just write this and it will sort, right? I showed you this part. Right? So if I
Yes.
Yes,
run this,
Nikhil. Yeah.
why it did not run? Am I not printing?
Not
Okay, console.log. Customer names. Let's clean this up and run. You see, it did the sorting, right? Now using the same concept, right? That it was able to work with string, right? So now we're talking about numbers. Now we're talking about numbers and I want to sort them in the ascending order. What is ascending order? It should take -2 first, then 5, then 23, then 45, then 89, then 89. That's my ascending order. So if I want that ascending order, can I just run this way? And will it work?
I guess no, as we are comparing it with ASCII value. So first it converts it to string and then.
Absolutely
So I
correct.
think
Absolutely
no.
correct. Let me show you, right? If people think, right, that sort worked here for strings, there's a reason, because by default, if you use this way, right, it takes the ASCII value of the characters, okay, and it tries to compare them, okay, and then it works very well for these strings, but it does not work well for the numbers. Let me show you the output here. You see, what is the output here? Is it in the ascending order?
No.
No, right?
No.
It's not in the ascending order. How is it? Think about it.
Taking the first.
If you see, there is a minus here, right? So it searched for the minus numbers, right? And the ASCII value of minus would be definitely less, very less than 0 and 1. Okay. Okay. The ASCII value of minus should be lesser than 0, all the numbers, right? Numeric numbers.
Correct.
Okay. So it would be that case. So what it did was it found that to be the smallest value and it placed it in the first place based on this negative number, right? So what is happening here is the value which has the smallest ASCII value, it placed it in the first place. Okay. So it is trying to sort as per the ASCII value. Remember, I have not given any logic here. Then it did what? It then started looking. You can see it placed 2, 3 here, right? 2, 3. So it looked at 2, right? It found that okay, after minus, 2 has the bigger ASCII value, right? And these are more bigger values, right? The ASCII value of these are more bigger than this. So 23 seems to be fine. ASCII value of 2 is less than 3, right? You remember, I hope you know this, right? Let me show you, right? ASCII value of 3. What is the ASCII value of 2? What is the ASCII value of numbers 0 to 9? Let's say. Oh, sorry. 0 to 9. 0 to 9. You can see, right? 0 has a ASCII value of 48. And 9 has a ASCII value of 57, right? What is the ASCII value of minus? Let's see. This will give me a headache. Let me just check on the Copilot. What is the ASCII value of minus? Okay, I am receiving an output. Let me show you. ASCII value of minus is 45. And what is the ASCII value of 0? What we were seeing? 48. Okay. So ASCII value of 0 is what? Sorry, minus is what? Minus ASCII value is 45. 0 ASCII value is 47 or 48, right? 48. So which is smaller? Minus is smaller, right? So it found the smallest values and placed it on the first go. Okay. Then it looked for the item which has a bigger, right, next ASCII, the bigger value than this. So it found, it sees the first digit, right? 5 it saw, okay. 8 it saw, 4 it saw, 8, it saw 2, right? So 0 has 48, 1 will have 49, 2 will have 50, right? So this seems to be the next value in line, right, after minus, correct? And you can see it is placing here based on the ASCII value of 2. Then it could not find any 2, right, which are any number starting with 2, right? So this is gone, this is gone. Remaining are these 1, 2, 3, 4. It could not find 2, right? So it moved ahead. It looked for 3. It could not find. So nothing there. Then it looked for 4, right? It saw, okay, 4 has a sky value of 51, right? Which fits in line, so it placed it here. Then it looked for, then it found 5 here, right? So 5 has a sky value greater than 4. So it placed 5 here. Then it placed 8 and then 89, right? Like this. Okay. So try to understand, if you use this way, right, with numbers, it will try to sort them as per the sky value. But in terms of numbers, it is not a good thing, right? Because we are not getting ascending values. So if you have to sort the numbers right, even for ascending, you will have to give a logic. What would be that logic? Similar approach, right? Okay, so let's do this. The same, right? Let me just copy from the above part. The same logic,
Compare the adjacent numbers and
right? Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's run this. Let's see what do we get. -2, 5, 23, 45, 89, 89. Are we getting in the ascending order or not?
yes.
This is the ascending order, right? And if I want to change it, what should I do? -1 and 1. Correct? It will descending order. Okay,
Got it.
right? Again, there is nothing new about this logic. Okay, it worked fine. Okay, Harsh gave me some input. Okay, what is saying? Const error AFRI, and you returned -1, -1. Okay, what did it do? Output 4, only valid for strings. Okay, I think you're just reiterating, right, the fact which we are discussing, right, Harsh, or you found something different? Okay, I don't know. Let's what is saying.
Hello, am I
Yes,
audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, there's some network issue. So I'm saying like L is coming earlier than R. So maybe we have, so I just
L is coming, then R.
parameters A and B so that it compares.
You are returning -1. You're not comparing anything, right?
Yes, yes.
You're not comparing anything. So what is happening is it is just switching the values again and again, again and again, right? See,
Yes.
if you would see, you are just reverse the numbers, right? When you say -1, right, you are saying that if you're comparing a value, swap it. Comparing a value, swap it. If you keep doing this, you will get a reverse order of the complete thing, right? And that is what you're getting. L is placed
Yes.
in the end, right? So L came in the first place, then R, then F, then A, right? It is exact reverse thing, right, of your the array, right? The original array.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Understood.
Understood? Okay, let's come back here, right? I just want to cover this part. So again, right? Okay, if I write this way, right? Let me show you, right? Because for numbers, you might not see this logic in a lot of places, right? What you might see is a logic like this. But I want you to understand that this is similar. So let me do this. I'm ignoring all this and I'm typing A minus B. Let me just comment this out. Here, right? And if I do this here and run it, you see it is what order? It is in the ascending order. If I want in the reverse order, I am saying B minus A. and it will start doing in the descending order. Now, one last rule, right? When it comes to strings, sort method will use to compare things, right? It will use ASCII values. Okay, it will use ASCII values, right? When it comes to numbers, right? And if you try to give just a blank sort, right, like this, if you try to give a sort like this thing, right, here also it will try to compare the ASCII values. Okay, ASCII values. Okay, it will compare based on ASCII values, which is not what we wanted. So we have to give a logic, right? But this time, when it is comparing things, right, in this comparison, it is not comparing the ASCII values, it is comparing the actual values, which are like numeric values, right? The comparison is happening between the exact numeric values, not the ASCII values of those. Okay, remember this fact. And that's why strings and numbers, right, are I'm trying to explain in different sections. So try to understand when you work with sort and you're trying to sort the strings arrays, it will be working on the ASCII values, right? When you're comparing two values, A and B. But when it comes to the numbers, the arrays of numbers, and you're comparing A and B like this, right? You are comparing what? You're comparing the exact value. Okay, correct? Please remember this rule, right? And the last part here, right? Who all understood this part? Why I was able to write this and not this? Does anyone has an explanation for this? Why is this working now? I mean, this part. What is happening
It's
here?
returning negative value or positive value based on I mean,
First of all, it's an arrow function, everyone, right? It's an
Yeah.
arrow function.
Yes.
And I am receiving numbers, right? A and B. A and B. And what am I returning? I am subtracting A from B, right? A from B. So what will I receive? I will receive an output as a number. Correct, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
I am not, this is without those braces, right? So it will be returned. Okay, I don't have to write here returned here. I could write this way also. If you feel like, I can write it here, right? But why to write it this way? Because I can I can achieve the similar code in by writing less thing, right? Which is this part. So this part and the earlier part was same, right? What it is doing, it is minusing, right? It is subtracting A from B. What would be my result? It could be what? It could be three things, right? A positive value, a negative value, or a zero. Correct?
Yeah.
Right? If in case of positive and the zero value, it will not do anything. In case of negative, it will swap. The similar logic, right? What it cares about is the value, a number to be returned, a positive or a negative. That's it. How you are writing a logic to achieve that, it's up to you. You could write a lengthy logic to achieve that, or you could do this thing, right, for the numbers. For numbers, wherever I will be writing, right, I will be writing this logic, okay, if I have to sort them going ahead. If it comes to strings, I would be writing a logic like this, because there I cannot do A minus B, because there the actual values are not getting subtracted. There these, right, I do not want to subtract a kilgen from valen, right? No, it does not make any sense, right? You cannot subtract a string from string, right? Okay, but so what I will do is I will use this logic of comparing A and B, right, greater than equal to, and I will specifically say return 1 and minus 1. But here, right, in case of numbers, I will write this. So in case of number, this is the sorting technique, and for numbers, this will be my sorting technique. And this is what you have to remember actually. Okay, and the only change if you want to do from ascending to descending is just to return the appropriate positive and negative based on your kind of output which you want. Okay, right, this is what sorting is about, and this is exactly same how Java works. Okay, there is no difference with which I am teaching you right now for JavaScript. This is exactly what Java also works with. There also the sort method works like this only. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so there is nothing else for me to to cover right now. If you have any queries, let me know. Otherwise, we are good to wrap up for today. No queries? I'm sure you will have queries and you might be puzzled about some of the things. The only way is go back and practice. Okay, please go back and practice about sorting, reduce, maps, filters, for each, right? We have covered almost every method of arrays. There are some methods which we have not covered, but if there would be a need for it, we will cover it. But I think the most important ones we have already covered. Okay, there would be very handful of methods, but I have never used them. There is one or two methods like find and find index, but those are also very self-explanatory. If needed, I will cover it tomorrow. Otherwise, our arrays part is done. Okay, let's wrap it up for today. If no other queries. Okay, I think no queries, so let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining. Let's meet tomorrow. Good night. And this video will take time, right? We have surpassed the limit for 2 hours, so so maybe by morning I'll make it available. Okay, because I'll receive it at 1 p.m. in the night, and I might be sleeping at that time. Okay. Okay, thank you. Good night. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akhil. Bye.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.